Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 nerds, by nerds, hanging out with, these nerds.
Nathan Nerdark.
Nerdark is Ted.
And today, flying fortresses, ships at sea, even caravans. We're talking about how to spend your D&D loot.
If you want to jump down to the description below, you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter. It's a great way to get gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with us.
One of the chief complaints that I've heard about 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons is, what do you spend all this gold on? Because they kind of got rid of the 3rd edition, 4th edition magic shop. Gear, your character becomes this compilation of gear, right? So it's not that important. You start getting this loot, what do you spend it on? What are you gonna buy? What if you were to buy a sailing ship, a flying fortress? You bought your own caravan, right? So what essentially are these?
Surrey with rims.
Essentially, like if you look at the typical progression of an adventuring party, like you start off like having to hoof it. Not everybody has a mount. Not everybody has access to a horse. So you walk everywhere you go. Well, after you've accumulated some levels, you accumulated some treasure. Now everybody winds up having a mount.
And sometimes really cool mounts.
Indeed.
Like spiders.
Like Boris, the war pig, he's amazing. Hello.
So as progression happens, a lot of times people stop. They get their mount and that's it.
Well, and then they settle down, get a stronghold. But, as adventurers, who wants to settle down? Like, the party's out there. It's not in here. It's out there. You got to go out there, right?
So people don't think about what's next. And page 157 of your Trusty Player's Handbook has a galley, a keelboat, a long ship.
What's that price range on those things?
Well, a rowboat is only 50 gold.
Score.
But, if you want a galley, that's only 30,000.
Oh, that's going to suck up some funds.
So it certainly is. And you can get your long ship or your sailing ship for as low as 10 grand.
3 easy payments.
Is this a timeshare commercial? Adventure in style.
So if you honestly are in a port city or you're in an island type campaign, that could almost be a requirement. That is like a money sink that, okay, you wind up buying the lower cost boats, and as you trade up, you could wind up in the galley.
You know what? And not only you end up having to supplement your adventuring with running cargo and stuff, because you got to pay for the boat and you got to pay for the crew, and these things aren't cheap. I mean, maybe you have a necromancer that starts raising undead and getting skeletons because they work cheap.
And there's wild rumors that go around.
Right. Or even worse, your skeletons unionize, and now they want better working conditions. They want dental. They want a 401k.
Dental and skeletons. When they age, they just don't age well.
Also, the land travel, a caravan, right, could be its own thing. A group of wagons that you travel with from place to place. It becomes this mobile stronghold, and you can do some cool things with it. You can introduce cool NPCs that actually travel with the players.
And that can also be a jumping point for an alchemist or somebody who says, well, I need to carry this stuff with me. I need a caravan. I can't go anywhere because I can't do my craft if I don't have this kind of wild setup.
We do that all the time where we have a wagon, but let's face it, for a party of 6, a wagon isn't really enough.
Probably not.
Depending on what you're doing. How much does a wagon cost?
It lets the noble character ride in the back and someone drives.
Wagon is 35. That's it.
So, but if you need 10 of them, that's $350. Those wheels you need to replace. You got to have spares. Yeah. You're going to need people to drive the wagons.
So you're going to have employees. You're going to need your horses. You're going to need to feed for all involved.
Well, boat upkeep isn't cheap either. I mean, that goes skyrocketing through.
Well, yes.
Yeah, obviously the boat is even more. And then, you could do airships or things more exotic in Storm King's Thunder. But also in one of the earlier adventures, I don't remember which one. It might have been Horde of the Dragon Queen, where they also introduced the Flying Fortress. That's gotta cost a fortune upkeep. So you can basically, and these are rewards that you could either give out to your players, and then they get this. It's like when they were all on Oprah and they won the car. You get a car, you get a car, and then they get the tax bill. I'm like, oh my god, how do I pay for the tax? I got this great car I can't afford now.
Sell the car.
So you hit your players with that, like, oh, by the way, you have to upkeep this, or they could go out and buy it. But it just creates an interesting character to introduce into the game, right? Because if we learned anything from playing Star Wars, the ship itself became like its own character, and it should be, whether it's the boat, whether it's the caravan itself, whether it's a flying fortress, whether you're riding on the back of a kraken, and whatever, they need a name. Give it some character, some personality. A caravan of 10 wagons. Each wagon has its own name, personality. It gets painted out. MTV comes in, they pimp your wagon.
Well, I think if you have 10, everybody has a wagon they go to for their own whatever. It's their mobile room, basically.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got the caravan, let's put the boat aside. The wagon is going to be anywhere from 1 to 4 horses. You're going to need someone who's going to be in charge of taking care of the mounts. You might even need a mount team if you've got
That's 20 to 40 horses you got to worry about too.
That's a lot. What happens? Oh, this one threw a shoe. Now you need a farrier. You've got all these different crew that you're going to need. You've got all these people that will need to do these tasks while you're traveling from place to place.
Now, I acknowledge not all of this is going to be for all of you guys. Not everyone's going to want this kind of stuff in their game. But I feel like sometimes we kind of get a little wonky and we find weird things we like to put in the game and have fun with. I think the ship is actually the easiest and kind of makes the most sense, or something cool like the Flying Fortress. And Edron also introduced a walking city. So you could definitely do some variation of that. You have Baba Yaga's
hut.
Yeah, which is also another one. Ravenloft, they introduced a version of that.
Right.
So there's definitely some cool and interesting things you could do aside from what's in your player's handbook.
So what do you guys think? Is there any other cool and interesting ways that you can spend your loot that we haven't talked about? Go ahead and put your comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
We have this website. It's called nerdarchy.com. Check it out.
We have funny memes over at Facebook.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.